Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Bag Makers Society podcast. As you'll know, I've had a couple of weeks off, so I'm really excited to get back in and get chatting to everybody. So you will have seen from obviously the thumbnail and the little countdown there that we have Erica from Lavender and Twine. I am so excited, total fangirl in here because I absolutely love Erica's patterns, as I know a lot of other people do too. So without further ado, I will bring Erica into the stream. Hello.
Hi.
So
Hi.
I'm going to just bring up the comments. I don't know whether you can see those as well,
I can
but
see the section on my screen, but nothing
yeah.
yet.
So we have Donna who's saying good evening. That message there is from my husband, who is just making sure that we all behave in the chat. Sharon, who's joining us from Kentucky, says first time live. Welcome, Sharon. Alison saying hi. So Sue, Linda. We've got loads of people in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Now I see them.
So Valerie saying hi. Other Sue saying hi, and Liz is also saying hi as well. So yeah, as people sort of post things in the chat, if they're posting questions and what have you, I'll put them up on the screen so we can answer them. So do you want to just do a little sort of introduction? I'm sure pretty much everybody watching will know who you are, but
Sure.
just do a little introduction and let us know how you got into bag making.
Okay. Okay, so I'm the owner, designer behind Lavender and Twine. I have bag and wallet patterns. I got into bag making, let's see, somewhere around 2015. I didn't really know there were patterns to follow, and so I started trying to make my own kind of styles, but they were very, very basic. And then I found some patterns on like Pinterest and just kind of searching. And then I found some of the bigger designers and followed those patterns. The first pattern I really did that was pretty substantial was the NCW, I think. And then, it just kind of burst from there. So 2016 is when I licensed my business name and I started doing customs. And then, I was doing some bags that I just wanted to make whatever I wanted to make and then put them up for sale. But then I started getting customs. So I would book out. I was about a year and a half to 2 years booked out. And then one of my sister's best friends wanted me to recreate a bag she already had. And she wanted a specific way. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend a lot of time deconstructing this and figuring it out. I might as well write something up while I go. And that is how my first pattern, Janine, came about. So that was for her. Her name is Janine.
Right. Cool.
And then that was 2019 when I released that pattern. And then my second pattern was at the beginning of 2020. And then from there, I've been doing that almost exclusively. So 2020, I think I ran out my customs calendar and didn't take on anymore. And then after that, I was fully designing all the time. And it's been very freeing for me to just be like, I get to work on whatever I want to work on at all times. So
yeah,
it was really, really great to be able to make that switch. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, and so recent as well that your bag patterns have been out, because I feel like they've been out for ever because I love them so much.
5 years. Yeah, 5 years since I released Janine. So yeah.
It's amazing sort of like how quickly time goes as well, or doesn't it?
I know, especially that chunk of time when you didn't really have a good concept of how time is moving, like 2020, 2021. They all blurs together.
But I suppose it was really good to have something to be able to focus on during that point, because you weren't restricted by any of the restrictions kind of going on in the world. So you could just kind of get your head down. And
right. Exactly. I was working a corporate job at the same time until the end of 2018. And then I was working remote from home, and they eliminated their remote positions. So I decided that, you know what, my business, it deserves to see where it can go with my full attention. So I dove in, even though my husband quit his job and went back to school in the same month. I was like, let's do
Wow.
it. So I put all of myself into my bag business and never looked back. So that was 2019 when it really kind of developed. And then 2020 is kind of my year where I had the most motivation and the most work ethic. It was probably unhealthy because I'd roll out of bed onto my sewing machine and then roll off my sewing machine onto my bed. And it's like, I can't really do that anymore. I've been able to give myself evenings and weekends, but it used to be that way. And yeah, really good to have that foundational year of just put out 4 or 5 patterns and then rest a little and then you can keep going. So
Yeah.
worked really hard at first and then now I'm here.
Do you find as well, because I find this, having a sewing business, you sew less now than you ever did before?
For me, that's true. I don't know about other people, but for me, that's
It is
true.
for me.
I'm only sewing when I'm designing. And I'm only sewing during my design when I've finished working out the pattern pieces. So I do a lot of paper taping and, trimming and all that. And I sometimes I even make the bag in paper before I move to fabric. So unless I have a concept and I have pattern pieces worked out, I'm not actually sewing anything. So sometimes I feel super out of practice, but I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, I need to make something so that I can get back into just sewing something before I design. I'm always just designing. And it's been years since I've made anything that wasn't one of my current patterns, because I don't go back and make old patterns and I haven't made anyone else's patterns. So really it's just whatever I'm designing at the moment. So yeah, I don't actually sew that much.
Yeah, well, no, I'm the same. Since I've
Yeah.
got a sewing business, I sew way less now than
Yeah.
I ever have.
Yeah.
So do you find that your brain is just always swimming with designs?
Yeah, it's really hard to be like, okay, put that one down on the back burner because you've got something right now you need to focus on. But everywhere I go, I'm not people watching, I'm purse watching. And anytime I'm watching a show, I'm noticing their handbags. And it's like, oh, I really want to do that kind of concept on something.
Oh, have we frozen? Give me 2 seconds. Let me see if I can. Don't we just love the internet?
Can you hear me at least?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
mine did this the other week with the internet, which is sometimes sent to test us.
If I leave and come back in, do you think that would help?
Give it a try.
Okay.
We shall see. I'll hold the fort. But do apologise, everybody. As we know, technology and the internet can sometimes be an absolute pain in the bum. I'm just going to sort of run through some of the comments of people who were here. So Lynn is here, Jill, Hazel. If I remember rightly, this is Cassie. I think it was Cassie from Queensland, Australia. Sarah's here. Says she's excited to see 2 of her favourite bag inspirations in the same place. That's so kind. Leslie's here, who says she also loves Lavender and Twine bags. Linda's here.
Hey.
There we go. I was just running through some of the comments while we sort of reset.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Mine's done it a few times as well, which is what I was saying to you before we started, how I stream in different ways now
I think my computer just went to sleep because I didn't move my mouse at all for a while. So I think that
Ah.
might have been what happened, but
Oh, well, I'll keep moving mine as well. I've just got mine
Me
down
too.
here as well. So I'll just keep moving it. So yeah, so it's just running through sort of who was here. So Tracy saying sorry for being late. That's fine, Tracy. We don't do a roll call. You're absolutely fine. So Liz is saying, this is true. It feels like you've been making patterns for much longer. Your videos are amazing and so many tips in
Thank
your
you so
patterns.
much.
Tracy saying, I will pronounce this wrong because I am terrible at pronouncing things. Just made the Fernway bag. Amazing pattern. Thanks.
That was good. Yes. Thank you.
Holly saying she's starstruck.
Oh.
You and me both, Holly. And Sue saying she's just started cutting out. Is it Hariath or Hariath?
Hariath, yeah.
Hariath. And I'm looking forward to making it. Daisy saying so much knowledge between you two. I think Erica's got a lot more knowledge than me. I just take other people's patterns and change them. That's what I do. And then, yeah, everybody's saying about the pesky gremlins. Donna's saying she's got a few of your patterns, but not been brave enough to start.
You're not going to lose anything if you don't start.
Honestly,
nothing to lose.
You won't regret it. You will not regret it. I think I've said in other sort of chats that we've had in the past with other people as well, there's a lot of times where I'll be doing a pattern and it's done differently to how you do it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to do it Erica's way. And I've changed that part of the pattern to, sort of how you do your zipper pockets and pockets and that sort of thing. So you. Definitely, Donna, get started. You will not regret it. Cassie saying you remembered who I was, feeling a bit special. Well, yeah, I mean, I barely remember my children's names, so we're doing well. But it is hard sometimes to remember when people don't have that. Like, obviously, I don't have mine in my YouTube name, so people don't always remember. Alice says she's not been bag making for very long, but Erica's hands down my favourite designer. Oh. Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Sharon saying she's currently working on 2 Hariath bags, so this is timely to see the designer. She loves Lavender and Twine bags.
Thank you.
Sue says she's not made one yet, but intrigued, so she'll be off purchasing more patterns.
Nice.
Holly's saying, what's the secret to becoming a Lavender and Twine tester?
Well, I can answer that question. I do put out a tester call probably about once a year in my Facebook group. And what I specifically look for is not necessarily like, I don't need people who are super amazing bag makers. Like, I want novice and I want experienced both. But I am looking for professional photos and presence in sewing groups. So those are 2 big things. Like, if you've never posted a bag before, I'm not sure the reach, because the algorithm is what we bow down to. So it's hard when you have that restriction on you. But when it comes to testing, I am just looking for photos, the ability to commit to a timeline, and the presence in the groups. So watch out for a tester call in my group. I don't have a specific time when I'm going to, make my next one, but I always have you post your photos in the comments and then fill out a Google form. And then I go and I bring on new people. It's probably about time to freshen up the group. So the tester group. So keep your eye out.
Again, I had this conversation with a few other people as well about testers, because I think some people think designers are only looking for testers who are massively experienced, are producing, professional quality bags that could sell in high-end shops. And I think a lot of people get intimidated. And the feedback I've had from designers is that's definitely not the case, and that beginner bag makers or novice bag makers are so valuable. Because
absolutely, our target audience is not only experienced bag makers, and I need to know how my patterns are going to present themselves to somebody who's new, so I can write the most clear pattern I can. And that I want my main goal, the thing that like fuels my heart with this is somebody saying, I can't believe I made that. And having it look in a certain way that how easy it was to put together, it doesn't compute. Like, it was easy to put together, but it looks so intimidating and so hard. And I can't believe I did that. That is what warms me, because that gives the bag maker so much confidence to do more things, and it opens up the world to them. So I love being a part of that.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about teaching as well, is sort of, you know, having somebody who's like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, you absolutely can.
Why not?
It's one seam at a time.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and then having that, you know, thing where somebody says, I can't believe I've actually done that. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
John is saying the society group was helping. I'm changing bits so soon. Yeah, I do encourage Donna to just change it up, get on with it. Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? It's as Sean says in a lot of her videos, and I'll say it too, it's only fabric. And yes, fabric is expensive and we don't want to waste it, you know, environment and all that sort of thing. But if things don't go well, you can usually always repurpose it into something small, or a little pouch or something.
And the learning experience that you got from that failure is it's the cost of fabric, right?
Yeah.
But the failure is going to make you better. So like, fail, please. Because if you just accidentally win at something, you didn't learn anything to get there. It happened on accident. So fail is what I tell people.
So Hazel's asking where you get your inspiration from.
So a lot of my inspiration comes from like the retail designer bags, like Michael Kors. I tend to gravitate towards Michael Kors a little bit. When I first started out, I wanted to be like a Coach and a Gucci, and I wanted to have that quality. So, and I worked for Restoration Hardware. I'm not sure if you know, luxury home furnishings. Very, very, very high and expensive furniture, basically. I worked for their corporate office. And so it was kind of drilled into me having quality and luxury and like consistent branding. And so that's kind of what I've instilled into my brand. And so I really wanted high-end looking handbags. So the Michael Kors, the Dooney and Burke, even like Coach and Louis Vuitton, sure. But when I am looking for my next pattern, I will go on to like Pinterest and just kind of surf a little. But the best patterns that I've put out have been complete. I stumbled onto the concept in my mind. Like Horiath, I did not have an inspiration photo for. I worked for months on that one, trying to make something that my sister wanted. She had very specific pocket needs, and I ended up accidentally designing that V on the side that was met with the V on the base. And it has become the iconic kind of Lavender and Twine bag.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything for that. So like any inspiration, it just happened. But other bags have been photos. Like Alaula was a photo of a bag that someone posted in a group. And they said, is there a pattern for this? And someone tagged me and said, can you make a pattern for this? And I said, okay, sure. And that's the only pattern I've ever shown before I was done, because I wanted to let people know that I was working on it. So that one came from, I don't even know the designer of that one, or like where that came from. I think it was just a random photo. But anyway, that was the inspiration for that one. And I do look at a lot of like Pinterest kind of bags. So
yeah. There's quite a few people in the chat asking sort of where your inspiration and what have you comes from.
Yes.
Sylvia's saying she has a few of your patterns but not made any yet, but she has used the triad strap pattern several times. That's my favorite. I use that all the time.
Freebie.
And then Caroline's asking sort of where your inspiration comes from as well. Diane said she's waiting for that testicle, and that your patterns made her a bag maker.
Thank you.
And Holly's saying, Hooray, there's a definition of that, so cleverly constructed and professional
Thank
looking.
you.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I remember cutting out the pattern pieces the first time and being like, how's this going to work?
Yeah.
Like, just really couldn't get my head around it.
I love that. I love stumping people.
But as it was going together, you know, me and Holly's had this conversation, because me and Holly know each other in real life. You know, we'll have, and we're like, it's genius. It is genius. It was so clever. So yeah, so Linda's saying she gets an awesome feeling when she finishes one of your bags.
Thank you.
And yeah, Diane's saying just exactly what I've said there, that the pattern pieces give her goosebumps when she sees them, and I'm like, what the heck? But she knows it's going to work.
I love making those really crazy pattern pieces.
Yeah. And then Debbie saying, thank you for the Alula.
Oh, you're welcome.
I made my friend one of them, and it was the first ever bag that I made in leather.
Wow.
And yeah, I gave myself quite a task, but it came together beautifully.
Nice.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that one of those. I'm so proud of it.
It could be structured or slouchy and still look good. So I really like how that one turned out. With the little, like, it kind of has like a pooch on the belly of it. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it just came together so well. It was quite structured because the leather was quite structured.
Sure, yeah.
But it just looked so classy.
Thank you.
She doesn't live near me, my friend. So we only see each other a few times a year. And she'd come up to see me a few months ago now, and she got off the train, and I went to the train station to pick her up, and she literally sort of dived off the train because I've made her a weekend bag as well, with her Alula and the weekend bag that she had, and she was like, look, all my bags, nice. shouting across the train station because she just loves it so much.
Oh, that's sweet.
But I was very, very proud of that one.
Oh, thank you.
So, and Sarah's saying she loves the architecture in your bags. How do you manage to think in 3D so well and pull it together to work?
It is trial and error mostly. And like I was saying before, making the bag and paper has helped before I move on to fabric. But sometimes I think about how fabric is 2D and how to make it 3D is very much angles and curves. And it's kind of a geometry, which I wasn't the best at math, but I didn't fail at math at any point. But it is very much a geometry, angles, and like if I want a curve to go out, what has to happen to make that kind of a thing. And I guess really some of it is honestly just trying it over and over and over and getting the results that you want. And like putting two pieces of fabric together to make a seam that curves in the way that you want sometimes is just sewing it. And then if it's not quite right, sewing a little bit more and then working backwards, taking that seam out and then cutting the seam allowance and then seeing what shape you have. Yeah. So it's very much whatever I could do. And then I just come to something I'm happy with, which is oftentimes why I only have 3 patterns in 1 year because I've worked months on these things. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
That's how I do
and
it.
Do you have sort of like a particular fabric or material that you prefer to work in when you design patterns?
Absolutely. I usually design with Mora from Emmeline, the vinyl. That's my baseline for any of my patterns. My patterns are made to work with Mora, but I also make them in other vinyls and cork, and I always make one in cotton before I launch because I want to know what to expect and how differently does it need to be interfaced to get the same result if it's made from cotton rather than Mora vinyl. But Mora is so supple and drapey, and usually patterns that I have, even if they're structured, drapey vinyl is best because the structure comes from stabilizer, not the vinyl. And when it's supple and drapey like that, it's way more forgiving on things like curves or gussets or something like that. If you have a little pucker, it could work itself out because it's soft.
Yeah.
So Mora is my baseline. I love the Mora. I will be a forever customer of Emmeline's because of it. And they come, I'm begging for more colors, but love the colors that they have. But I work with Mora when I'm just doing prototyping. It just works the best, and I love it. And I don't like to prototype with like cheap material because it could absolutely give me the wrong impression of the bag. If the bag turns
Yeah.
out bad, I want to know if it's because of the bad material or because of the bad design. So I go straight for Mora so that I know it's not the material that's making that pucker happen. I just didn't measure something right or whatever. So you have to use those higher end materials in order to get the result that you're looking for. So,
And it means as well, though, that your bags can be sewn on domestic machines as well.
yes. Yeah. I don't have an industrial. I only have two domestics that I work with. They're pretty powerful domestics, but I work with a Juki DX7, which has become my backup machine because I got a new Brother PQ1500 SL, and that's my main machine now. No frills, just straight stitch, and I love that one. My Juki was having issues; it kept having to go into the shop, but the presser foot was having a little bit of an issue, and I'm like, you know what, when I have scheduled filming times, I can't be without a machine.
Yeah.
So I see Debbie Morton in the chat. I ended up borrowing her Brother, and I filmed on that one, and then I was like, you know what, I really really love this, so I bought one myself. And I haven't gone back to the Juki.
Yeah.
So
we're all enablers, aren't we?
What's that?
We're all enablers for each other.
I know.
Like, buy this.
Thank goodness she was there too.
Yeah, I've got a Janine HD9. Obviously, I've got, you could probably just out of camera there, but I've got a Jack H2, which is the walk and foot machine. It's kind of the copy of the Juki. I think it's 1181. Yeah. And then you can probably see just behind, I've got the Janine HD9, which I do love as well. And that, I think, is very similar.
Yeah, I worked with that one in a class where Lauren was coming to my area to teach a class, and I offered to help. So that was my first time working on that machine, and it was very, very nice. I really, really liked it. And then also my best friend Alexis from Ora Rosa, she works on that machine. That's her main one. So kind of have a little bit of experience on it, just secondhand. But it's a good machine. I like it.
Yeah, they're really powerful.
Yes.
Like, that could go through
a lot more complex threading to thread the machine. It's a lot more complex than the Brother that I have, but it's very similar in how it works.
Yeah. And it, just going back to what you were saying about like the materials and what have you, like I've really found that with buying different sort of materials and from different places, that they're not all created equally. And sometimes you can buy vinyl and you think, oh, this is quite structured, so it'll work really well. But then it's too structured, and it doesn't sit well. It doesn't turn properly. And obviously, I've got an industrial, so I can sew through it. I can get the machine to sew, but when you're turning it through and you're doing that top stitch, and sometimes when it's too thick, it doesn't turn out so well. It can be too sort of clumpy, for want of a better word. So having materials that that work for you, and obviously then it means that you can recommend when people are asking, what did you use, what works well, and it gives you that sort of confidence to be able to say, use this, it will turn out well.
And there's so many different variables too. It all depends on what machine, what needle, what thread you're using, and all of that. I've used vinyl where when you top stitch it, there's such a large hole in each stitch. No matter what size needle you use, it's just the nature of that vinyl. It almost rips the top layer of the vinyl as it goes through. And so like just looking out for that kind of, knowing what kind of vinyl that you like. Maura, I use the TSM vinyl. I use Cotton and Twirls vinyl whenever she puts it out, and Lauren's vinyl and all that. So like, I definitely have my favorites. But there are things like, you know, needle size, what stabilizers are inside the seam allowance, which I typically don't have stabilizers inside seam allowance. So when people ask me about bulk in my patterns, I'm like, I worked it out. You know, there's some places where there's stabilizers and seam allowances, but it's for a purpose, and I've worked it out to where it's not too bad. But there's so many variables when it comes to the vinyl that you use.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Hazel's saying she thinks Maura is really good for those with domestics as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Holly's asking, are you doing any more designs with the Bag of the Month Club?
I don't know. I haven't been approached again for that, which is fine, because I did Horiath for them, and it was definitely another level of pressure. That, I mean, I was fine with the pressure, but it was also like when the design wasn't coming to me, I'm like, there is a deadline bigger than my own on this. And in some cases, that is the number one like stifler of creativity for me, is the pressure for, you know, I'm not the only one relying on this. So I lucked out with Horiath being not, my creativity wasn't stifled too badly on that one. I do think I pushed it a little hard when it came to handing the file over to them. I needed it to be perfect. Obviously, like, we're all perfectionists, right? But I had a bigger audience on this one. And so, yeah, I think that I've been a little bit of an island when it comes to collabs, and I'm okay with that, because I'm gonna get there myself, basically. Like, I really only like relying on myself, and so I'm not sure, but it's a possibility.
Oh, we'll keep our eyes open. Sarah's saying she loves the details you include in your patterns. Was it a conscious effort to include this level from your time following other designers? P.S. The combination of detail stroke design is utter perfection.
Oh, thank you. Conscious effort, yes. The amount of detail that I include in my patterns are born from my control freak nature. Because I want your product to be the best that it can be, I try to control everything that you do. So I try to balance this, tell you everything that you need to know, versus being too much information, too wordy, too like taking the reins and not allowing you to have your own fun with it. But the level of like the resources that I add in, as far as like how to interface if you're doing cotton, it's really like trying to answer your questions before you have them, so that you don't have to ever come to me. And not that I don't want you to come to me, but you don't ever have to reach out and be like, I'm not sure about this, because the information is right there for you. And the videos, and how the videos are never meant to replace the pattern, and the pattern's never meant to replace the video, but in tandem. I hope to hit as much information as I can, so that you know where you're starting before you start, you know what I mean? So the level of detail is something that I wanted in other patterns, basically. And I guess that's just how I've always been with things other than patterns too, is just like, give me everything that I need right up front.
Yeah.
And the value too. Like, I always want people to buy my patterns and feel the value of that, feel like they're getting what they paid for. So I don't ever want people to walk away and be like, I regret buying that. Even if it's not something that they end up liking, they still got so much in their pattern. So hopefully.
And it comes back to that learning experience as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hazel saying she also loves Aura Rosa and would love to go to the Sew Whatever studio. She sees that you did a class there recently.
Yes, I did. I did that last week, was my second class at Sew Whatever Studio. It was a casual sew whatever you want class, as long as it was one of my patterns, so that I could walk around and just help you with whatever you had. So we had probably, I want to say I counted like 12 or maybe 13 of my patterns were made that weekend. Some people were able to finish 2 bags, and yeah, it was really rewarding to see how many different patterns were represented throughout the 15 people that were there, and how much they put into making it kind of their own. Like some of them did Samarin, which is a pretty big bag, and a couple of them made it at 85%. And so I was able to see that smaller version. And, you know, some of them made 2 that I had one person make a Janine and a Sky. And it was, I don't know, it's just very rewarding to see everybody come together to make my patterns. And then everybody was making something different as well. And it was a challenge for me too, because I had to remember how I wrote each pattern when they had questions. I'm like, let's check the pattern. I don't know.
I was going to say, you'd be like, quickly checking your phone. Yeah, that would be me.
I had to refresh.
I made the Sky for my wedding last year. And I made it slightly bigger. I think I did it at 120%. Came out beautifully.
Wow.
Because I needed it to be, you know, a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And I wanted the oversized look as well. And I've got, I love it. I made it in a navy, like very soft velvet. Maybe it's more like a velour, but navy. Because my theme was green and navy. So I had a green dress.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Bright green dress with like a navy fur sort of cover up, because we got married in December.
Wow.
And then the navy bag, and it was just beautiful. It just came out so well. I just loved it.
Did you post it?
Yeah, I think some of my sort of profile photos on some of my things are me holding the bag. But I'll try and find the picture and share it in the group. I think I might have shared it in the Lavender and Twine group when I made it, but it would have been about this time last year.
Okay,
I'll got married in December last year. But I'll find it and post it again. But yeah, I was so pleased with how it came out. I just loved it.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Donna's saying she's jealous of all the fabric options that you have over there in the US.
I get that.
We all are. And obviously, speaking of fabulous fabric options, we'll have Lauren as well. So hi Lauren.
Lauren.
And Hazel saying that was a beautiful skydive, inspired me to make it.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Thank you.
And I like how quickly it came together. I think I made it in, because I made a tester one in the size that I wanted before I used my super duper expensive fabric, because it was it was quite expensive. So yeah, I made a tester up, and so I think my actual one that I made in about an hour.
Yeah,
it came.
I know, minimal pieces. And the thing that I really try to do in patterns is when you can make 2 pieces one, I try and do that at all time, like at any time I can. If there's a seam somewhere, or if you think there might be a seam somewhere in a bag, if I can make that one piece of fabric to cut down on your cutting, and not only the fabric, but the paper pattern and taping that together to cut down on that, I will try. And that's how I come up with, that's why I have such wonky pattern pieces that look like t-shirts, or, you know, like Harayeth has that dress pattern piece that looks like a dress. And that's why they're like that, is because I try and combine as much as I can, which cuts a lot down on your time making it. And then Sky is just a couple pieces, card slots and a liner and a flap. So yeah, it's real fast.
Yeah, I was so surprised. Like the first one that I made came together quickly, obviously not having had made it before. And then my second one just flew together, really.
Right.
Caroline saying, would you ever venture into including SVG files with your patterns in the future for scan and cut machines?
So I have definitely tried. I had put together a kind of sub team from my tester team of people who use cutting machines, and we tried. I also got feedback from other designers who do include SVGs. And after those trials, I came to the conclusion that I just can't. Not only because of the difficulty in selling that the difficulty including those in my patterns versus not including, doing all of that for my past patterns almost seems logistically impossible. Having, you can't buy the SVGs without proving to me you already have the pattern, and then I would have to go in and check you have the pattern. For future patterns, including those, it's too much because different cutting machines require different files.
Yeah.
And so I can't provide SVGs or, the specific type of file for every machine out there. And when I hear about how people know when they own machines, some of them know how to do it themselves. It took the pressure off me to provide that for people. And the troubleshooting that's going to happen if something goes wrong with them, I just can't provide that. I can't provide the level of customer service when it comes to troubleshooting issues. And so I think I had to walk away from the concept because of all the different variables. And I don't use a cutting machine, and I don't really have the drive to learn one. So I can't. And I'm really, really sorry about that, because I know that's a hole that should be filled. But I think that there are amazing resources out there, YouTube videos and such, on training on how to change your PDF into SVG or whatever file format your machine needs, that I just can't take that on myself, or else I would never get designs out. There's too much work to just do the design in itself. And I can't handle that as well. So I am very sorry, because I do get that question quite often, but I just can't, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is one of those things, like you say, it's, if it's not something that you're using, then how do you provide the help and the support
exactly
with it?
Yeah,
it's sometimes, but like you say, best to sort of not and maintain that level of customer service than to do something because you feel you've got to and it not work, and then you feel like your customer service isn't what you want to be providing.
Yeah, because if I went into SVG, that's not going to cover all of the cutting machines, because like I say, not all the cutting machines use the same file format, and I wouldn't want to just kind of dip a toe into that without covering all of the customers that might need my help. And I just think that with the resources that they have out there, I would encourage you to go look there rather than for me to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the time and energy to put towards something that I don't actually use myself. And if I did, I might consider that, but I don't know how to do any of it. So I'm going to try and keep my brain focused on the design part of it.
Yeah.
That takes up so much.
But when you're a one person business as well, it's, you can only split yourself so many ways, can't you?
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, people ask me for things, and I feel awful sometimes, like having to no, I'm really sorry, I can't. And it's not because I don't want to, or but it's you've got to sort of maintain that balance a little bit. And
I mean, I would love to be all things to all people, and that's hard when I have to say no, because what I want to give to you is just not possible for me. So that's hard.
Sarah's saying, are there any of your patterns you wish you saw more of? She, again, I am going to really pronounce this wrong. She says she loves the Petrichora.
No, Petrichor.
But doesn't see so many.
I think that's the one that I would answer that question to, is Petrichor. That was my second pattern, and it was the first time I had done videos. And I didn't sew in the videos, which I thought was okay at the time, and then decided I didn't want to do videos like that. So it was a lot of aerial shots of my hands saying, I'm going to go sew this. And then I go and do it off camera and come back. So that's the one video series that's a lot different than the others. I don't necessarily think that that's the reason why I don't see a lot of petrichors, because I don't get feedback on the videos very often as far as being different than others. But I definitely would love to see more petrichors. I think it's such a unique shape. And when I put that one out, it was a huge, proud moment for me because Janine was very small and simple, and petrichor was it was my first in-depth design, and I gave a lot of options. There's crossbody backpack options. There's 3 different connector options. I figured out how to, and now it doesn't seem so hard, but I figured out how to do the zipper in the top and have the top and the liner be separate while you're still connecting them to zipper tabs. And that was hard because it's hard to explain, but you wouldn't have been able to turn it if it was all connected into one. So you connect them separately. And then, yeah, it was a good, like, oh, I figured it out kind of moment, you know? Mm-hmm. And then when I put it out, it was like, it was a big deal for me. And
I'll have to go and check that one out.
Yeah. It's like a half cylinder bag. It looks like, flat on the back and then round on the front. It's really cool.
Oh,
but yes, I think that was one I would like to see more of.
Definitely going to go and check that one out. Linda saying she's jealous of the fabric options too, obviously from the US. However, if she sees a bag made with a really lovely faux, which is from the USA, I order some. Postage makes it expensive per yard, but what the heck?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. That postage.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, isn't it? Diane saying part of the fun for me is cutting out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Alice says, when do you think your next design release will be? I'm sure I'm not alone and looking forward to seeing what you have up your sleeve next.
So the one that I'm working on right now is going so much smoother than typical, which I'm happy to say that my first prototype of this bag was way farther along than most first-time prototypes. And I was actually able to finish the bag to completion and make it a full bag, which I typically don't do that for my first prototype. It's usually like there's no reason to go on because it's so bad.
I'm sure it's not
good. I was able to make it a full bag, and I'm on to the second prototype now, which is finished. And the way that I'm going to give away a little bit right here, but the way that the connectors attach to the bag at this moment will warp the sides when it's carried. So I have to find a way to anchor the connectors so that it won't warp the sides of the bag. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So at this time, I was hoping it would be with testers, but some things happened in my personal life, and then coming back from the class has been overwhelming. Like, not the class was overwhelming, but coming back afterwards, It's been overwhelming. So I haven't been able to work on it for a little while, but it will be in testing most likely by the end of this month. So I would say late November, hopefully.
Well, just in time for Christmas.
Yeah, or Black Friday, or yeah.
Lauren saying it's always on my to make list. Yes. Love that pattern masterpiece, which is obviously a pattern.
When I released Petrichor, it was the first time Lauren had commented on one of my posts, and I fangirled a lot at that moment. And I know she wants to make one really bad, but she's got no time.
No, very, very time poor. I can absolutely appreciate. Sarah saying Petrichor is fabulous. She needs to make another now. Well, me and you both, Sarah. Let's both do it and both post our our finished bags. Liz said she definitely wants to hear more about your next pattern, which I've obviously just covered. And Holly saying, do you see much of Alexis? I always imagine you are close, but probably hours apart. Love,
Yes.
Aura Rosa too.
So a kind of high level of our relationship is that we met online in the Facebook groups in 2018 when I asked her what fabric she used for one of her bags. It was a vinyl. And she said it was just a vinyl from one of her local shops. And then she messaged me and asked me if I wanted her to send me some. And I was like, that is so kind. You don't know who I am. Like, so she's like, I'm happy to go buy some and then PayPal you, or you PayPal me or whatever. And I send it to you. And I'm like, okay, where are you located? And, it turns out we're right near each other. I mean, she's in Canada and I'm in US, but, she's on Vancouver Island and I'm north of Seattle. So very kind of close geography wise.
Yeah.
And then from then on, just messaging back and forth, we became very close. And then we now Marco Polo each other, which is a video app where you send video messages that they don't have to listen to right there. So it's not live. And we do that every day, all day long. So we are now more than sewing besties. We are life besties. And so we run our designs past each other. And whatever she's working on, I get to see from concept to finish. And same with me. We coordinate our launch dates, so we're never overlapping. And we share a lot of the same testers and things like that. But we endeavor to take a trip together at least once a year, wherever we're going. It could be a sewing trip. It could be just a vacation. But if she comes here or if I go to her house, it's exactly 7 hours door to door. But we have to drive, cross the border, get to the ferry terminal, take a 2-hour ferry, then drive to her house. And it's like, there's stages to the trip, but it's 7 hours. And so we can assume that, we'll have those travel days, but she'll come and stay at my house. And it is my turn to go up there now. But it's really lovely to have such a close friend who knows exactly how the social media part of it works. And we work closely together just with our own businesses. If we were in the same country, we would be collabing all the time. But because there is a difference in like, how would we charge? How would we pay each other out with the currency differences and the tax differences? We just think it's probably not worth getting into it. But yes, I love and respect Aura Rosa till the end. So we're bestie businesses.
It's amazing, isn't it, how like the internet can bring people together who would never have
opened up my world. Like these people that I'm talking to are on the other side of the world, like you are right now. To me is like I would never meet you unless there was a social media aspect to it. And it's really awesome because we're able to share so much of the same things that we never were able to before social media with people who live their lives on the other side of the planet. And it's so crazy to have those friendships grow, like me and Sean that you had on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Lives in England and we're close. So it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with myself and Emma from Studio 77.
Yes.
We've kind of just met through online and, now, we chat pretty much most days and, we do very similar things in different ways, but it's lovely being able to have that person who understands it.
Yeah.
Especially the crap days.
Yeah.
And you can kind of be like, but also knowing that you're safe and it's a safe space to, and she knows I'm not going to steal any of her ideas. She's not going to steal any of my ideas. So we can bounce them off each other.
Exactly.
And it's so fabulous to have that.
Absolutely. One good thing that came out of social media.
I mean, it can be horrific, but it's you've just got to try and not focus on the horrific parts. John is saying your teaching skills are absolutely incredible. If it's you alone who made me a confident bag maker.
Oh wow, thank you so much. That warms my heart.
And Diane says, bag making aside, I'd like to say please look after yourself in every way.
Thank you very much. I'm trying.
And she said she's got a duck out, but all the very best and thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So yeah, but like I say, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with social media, which is a little bit ironic, seeing as how I have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page and an online business. But it can be a hard space to be in sometimes, but it can be so fulfilling as well. And like I say, bring you together with people who you have a shared commonality with, you know, this love of sewing and bag making, and you know, and it can bring you together with people who you would never ever have come into contact with, even if it is just, you know, through Facebook groups and
for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Peggy saying the bag making community is so amazing. I've made lifelong friends here. Yeah.
Hi Peggy, I've met you.
I'm the same. I mean, I've got friends in real life, so to speak, that I would never have met through bag making, but they're close to me. They don't live that far away from me. You know, we're able to meet in person. Holly, who's on the chat, doesn't live that far away from me, so we catch up not as often as we would like. We've both been doing that message of we really must sort something out. We really must sort something out, and we really must sort something out.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with the Pacific Northwest bag makers. There's a lot of people who have asked me, you know, you've done a class in St. Louis twice now. Are you going to do something close to your home? And I'm like, that is the one thing on my radar that's like at the top of my list right now behind designing more patterns is getting something for the P&W bag maker, because I'm learning how many people in my area are bag makers. I mean, for example, I met one of my neighbors last weekend or this weekend, and she learned what I do and said, oh, I have a friend who's a sewer. She's a quilter, but she has a friend who's a bag maker. And so I'm like this network of sewers, right? And then she said, this is what her name is, gave me her Etsy and one of my patterns on her Etsy's. And I'm like, okay, so this person knew this person knew this person, and she's made one of my patterns. That's crazy. So it was really cool, that networking in real life.
What is it to say there's only ever 6 degrees of separation?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So Holly gave us some love hearts there. And Sue saying hi from Auckland, New Zealand. I just love, again, how people find, you know, little old me from the northeast of England, you know, on YouTube. Obviously, thanks to having amazing guests, you know, that definitely does help. Linda's asking, how did you choose the name Lavender and Twine?
Yeah, so in 2016, I came up with the name. It might have been 2015, actually. Excuse me. It was my husband's boutonniere at his wedding, was a sprig of lavender wrapped in twine. And so I wanted lavender and twine, but I chose specifically the ampersand because it indicates a stronger connection between the two words than just the word and. Like, for example, if you have two people who work on a movie who are like the directors, and like, say it's Tom and Joe, if it's Tom ampersand Joe, it indicates that they are a unit, rather than Tom and Joe, they just both worked on the project. So I liked the kind of strong connection that ampersand suggested. And so lavender, and I'm very careful that there's an ampersand in everything that I type out when I say lavender and twine. So like when I choose fonts, when I'm marketing and I choose fonts, it has to have the ampersand rather than like that 3 with the line through it or any other type of and symbol. So I always change it to an ampersand whenever I'm marketing. But that's how I chose the name. So
that's so interesting. Really, really interesting. Lynn saying when she lost one of your patterns on her laptop, your response time was amazing. So thank you. She's extra careful now because she loves your patterns.
Thank you so much.
I have all of mine backed up on a hard, as well as Google Drive. I have all of mine backed up on a hard drive.
Keep your download emails. Because those you can use those however many times you need. So keep those downloads.
So, and Linda's saying she recently participated in a Zoom course run by a great team in the USA to make the Tessa bag, fabulous bag, and lovely to meet so many people.
Oh, okay. Not sure what that one was.
Was that the bag makers workshop? Possibly. Maybe. And then somebody with JP as a PNW sewist, I would love to attend a local class with you. There you go. You've got somebody
Nice.
already signed up. And Peggy's agreeing to something that we've obviously covered. Linda saying through the Bag Making Academy.
Gotcha.
And Linda saying that's so lovely.
Thank you.
But no, like I say, I just absolutely fangirl over your patterns. There's not a single one that I've sort of made and I think, oh, I didn't enjoy that. Oh, I didn't like that.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
And I always come away with, like I said to you before, ways of doing things that I then incorporate when I'm making other patterns, and I'll be like, oh, I'm doing that Erica's way.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, and I think that's probably with you being such a prolific bag maker prior to going into designing, you know, that I don't design bags. I just, like I say, I just hack them and change them. Sometimes to something that they don't even resemble in the first place, but hey ho. And then Caroline saying, apart from America, which country is the next largest purchaser of your patterns? Oh, that's a good question.
I'm thinking Canada. Most likely it's Canada, but I would say Canada or the UK. Yeah, for sure.
For such a little small island.
I know.
We have quite a lot of creative people over here. Hazel saying also fangirl.
Thank you.
Yeah. When I mentioned that you'd agreed to come on the podcast, there was an awful lot of excitement.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me because I don't know that those fans are there. Because, I mean, I know that they're there, but sometimes it hits me when there's a response to like this kind of a thing, or if I put up a post or something and there's a response and I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are there for me, because I disappear sometimes, and it's always lovely to come back and have you all there for me, and it's amazing. You're all amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, but I would imagine sort of you know, when you're designing and creating, sort of being really present in, you know, Facebook and social media, it's a little bit counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I know a few designers have also said to me that they purposely don't really look in any of the Facebook groups because they don't want to be not so much inspired by other designers, but they don't want to be influenced by other designers. They want to concentrate on their own patterns. And they find being too prevalent within social media and the Facebook groups and what have you can be a little bit counterproductive. Do you find the same?
Yes, absolutely. I always want to be present, but I don't like to, I don't buy and make other patterns. I want to support other designers, but I don't want to look at their patterns because I don't want to be inspired or influenced. And then I can say this came from my mind. And it's hard. It's a hard balance because I also don't want to ignore other designers and I don't want to not support them. So it's a balance of not being present online in terms of like getting into that scrolling that we're all prone to do, that scrolling part, because that is a killer of creativity. And then also being there and present for the algorithm, but also to check in with your group. And my group is growing and I love my group. It's so supportive, so creative. Everybody there is so nice. And I would stay there if I could. It's my own little bubble and my cushion and my safe place. But yeah, I definitely try and stay off in order to refresh my mind, I guess. Rest my mind. Yeah. Just have a little rest from it. But yeah, it's definitely there for me when I come back. So
yeah,
nice.
I mean, it's ironic for me as well, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for my Facebook group, because my Facebook group just got started on a whim. And it was just sort of like, you know, just, you know, it's UK bag makers, because no offense or anything, but we don't want to be seeing all the nice US stuff that you can get. It's like, right, let's just keep it UK, and then we don't have to see any of all this. And then people buy it from abroad, and they're like, yeah, I got it from Lauren. Or like, okay, but yeah, I wanted a space where, you know, it was specifically for people who, you know, might be able to meet each other and, you know, connect and what have you, and talk about any patterns and any fabric and any hardware. There was no restrictions to do with any of that. The only rule really was be kind. I did word it slightly differently, but it's be kind.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, it just really took off. And everything else has kind of sort of grown from there, which is
nice.
Mad.
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
mad.
Hi.
Dalva's saying hi from Puerto Rico.
Hello.
We're definitely international now. Liz is saying, surely all bag makers are fans of your patterns.
Thank you very much.
And Cassie's asking, as a beginner bag maker, which of your patterns would you suggest first, please? I've purchased a few, but not sure which one to have a go at first. They're also gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. I would suggest probably Sky. I've got 3 sort of simpler, small, Janine, Sky, and Fernway. But Sky, I would say, out of the 3 is easiest. I mean, Janine's very easy, but there's measurements involved, more measurements that you have to kind of be precise about than Sky. So start with Sky and then progress to the maybe Fernway and Janine. But honestly, before I had some of those smaller patterns, I was pointing people towards like Moonwake and even Horiath. I know of a person who is local to me and never sewed a bag in her life and started with Horiath, and it was amazing. It looks intimidating, but everything comes together in such a straightforward way that a beginner can have the same results as somebody who's not a beginner. So I would say, like, there's no harm in going for a bag that's not small and simple. It's just how much concentration do you have and how much time do you have, and go slow and watch the videos, because you know, I'm literally there in the video with you making every single step. So you can see that if you think this is impossible, there's proof that I have done it on camera. And like I say, like, I make all the mistakes so that you don't have to. So in testing my own patterns, I've made every mistake that I can possibly make, and then I've worked them out of the pattern. So hopefully that helps. But
I would agree with you with Sky as well. I think that's, especially for somebody who's maybe a little bit intimidated, it's a perfect pattern. Susie, we'll be going back to listen to the recorded version of this live, and scrolling is definitely a bad habit. Yeah, I think we're all guilty of doing it though, aren't we? Yeah. And Nico says, hi everyone, kudos to you, Deb, for taking the time and effort to bring bag makers together. Erica, I love your bag patterns. Would you mind taking us through the process of making a bag pattern? We kind of went through it at the very beginning of the episode, Nico. So if you go back and rewatch it, Erica sort of went through her design patterns and how she sort of brings them to life with paper to start with. So it was very, very interesting. Yeah. And Dalva says, one of my first was, is it Alula? Alaula.
Mm-hmm.
Your videos instructions are so great that one can venture to sew any of the patterns.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
So, and Sarah saying, thank you so much, ladies. Erica, it's wonderful that you are so lovely and knowledgeable as I imagined you to be.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow.
So, and Nico's saying, I'll rewatch. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty much one of the first sort of questions that we got to, wasn't it? Your sort of design process and what have you. But definitely rewatch it back, Nico, because as we were just talking about algorithms and everything before, it really does my algorithm so much good if people go back and rewatch. And Cassie says, thank you so much. Just have to dive in. 100%. It's one seam at a time.
Yeah.
You know, take it like you said before, take it slow. There's no race.
Yeah.
And just sort of as a, I don't know whether you'll agree with me with this, but just as a sort of pointer, I found that I actually really enjoyed sewing in general and bag making when I slowed the heck down. I want to do everything at 1,000 miles an hour. I want everything cut out. I want it interfaced and I want it made because I'm just excited to have it made and I want it finished. And a few years ago, I really sort of had to rein myself in and enjoy the entire process. So from the cutting out, who I think was Linda said earlier on that she loves cutting out, I used to hate it. And I used to just rush it and not be careful and not be precise and just that interfacing I'll do because I don't really want to wait for the right stuff to turn up. And it wasn't until I really forced myself to be slower and to be more mindful and look at the whole process as a whole process. So, you know, if I'm cutting out, I'll put something really nice on the TV or I'll, you know, put music on or, you know, something that I'll enjoy, have it on in the background. And I try and lose myself in it.
Yeah.
And then I do the same with the sewing process. And I slow it down. And if I'm getting tired, I leave it and I come back to it. And I found, my bags turn out so much better. You know, I'm so much happier with the finished project. But I actually enjoy the process a little bit more because I'm not rushing towards the end.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the learning. I'm enjoying sort of the whole process.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best sort of advice I could give somebody as a beginner. So if you're thinking about tackling a pattern that you think's a little bit out of your comfort zone, just go for it and just take it one step at a time.
Yeah. And trust the process too, because it's not always obvious the direction that I'm going.
Or nobody would know the direction I was going in. They'd be like, whoa, where's she off to now? I'm like a little magpie, like, ooh, something sparkly and bright over there.
Yeah.
Liz is saying, thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us. 100%. Loved hearing how you started and look after yourself.
Thank you.
Tracy's saying, you're both inspirational. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And Hazel saying, I have to tell myself to break it down into bits. Exterior today, lining tomorrow, etc., etc. 100%. Yeah. I do sew-alongs within like my paid club, and I break it down over the entire month. So each week we take a pattern like each month, and then each week it's a different part of that. So the first week we'll just concentrate on the pattern pieces and the interface and how it's being cut out, and you know, and then it comes together over the months, and we'll do the exterior one week and the lining the next week, and then bringing it all together sort of that last week. And I really think it helps to kind of slow it down, because obviously when you put a video out on YouTube, you have to kind of speed it up a little bit, especially when it's a public video, because nobody would watch a 4-hour video. So I love doing the weekly ones, because you really can sort of deep dive into every little bit, every little tip.
Yeah, and it helps you kind of savor the process.
Yeah, definitely. Linda's saying 100%. Cassie's saying great advice. Lynn saying, thank you, ladies. It's been amazing as usual, Deb. We owe you a big, huge thank you. Have a go, and we'll watch the whole thing again.
Nice.
Thanks. I always say the YouTube algorithm will love you for it, and so will I. And then Sue said she loves the sew-alongs. And correct my spelling. My typing is never, because I'm usually trying to do it too quickly. But and just lastly, Alice is saying, I have a cut and infusing day and then a day or two to sort of pattern. This works for me, especially if it gives the interface some time to set. 100%. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in letting that interface reset.
Cure.
Yeah, cure. Yeah. Well, in my previous life, I was a total different job, and it was very sort of technical, and part of that was curing And I'm a right geek where anything like that's concerned. So I kind of understand that whole process. It's like it doesn't dry, it cures, and it has to be left for a certain length of time to do that.
Yep.
So
I've been known to throw my pieces in the fridge because I need to get going. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
My husband will be sitting listening to this going, oh God, what's she going to start doing now? Because he just sometimes comes in, he's like, what are you doing? Don't ask.
Yeah.
He's such an enabler though. He's such an enabler, bless him. So, but it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. I've really enjoyed it.
You as well.
And
I've enjoyed.
Oh, good. I say it every week that I look forward to whoever we'll have on. That I'm, because I'm nosy. I just love hearing about people's journey into bag making and what have you. So yeah. But if anybody who is watching would like to come on and chat to me about their bag making journey, it isn't all just about pattern designers and influencers or anything. Like, I love hearing everybody's journey, and so do the people who listen. So if anybody wants to come on and chat to me about bag making, I'll put my email in the description box down below. Drop us an email and we can sort out a time for you to come on and chat bags and fabric and so on and all the fun things. So Alice is saying that she needs a fridge in her sewing room now.
Sorry.
So yeah, and everybody's just sort of saying thank you, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
So I'll be back next week. I'm not 100% sure who I have on next week because I'm waiting on a couple of people confirming back, but I will be here next Tuesday at 8. And if anybody wants to rewatch this episode back, it's exactly the same link. Just click it and it will start from the beginning, and you'll be able to watch myself and Erica all over again. So thanks everybody for your time this evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.